Are you seeking a better way to accelerate your sales, to scale your business, to live a life with no limits? Accelerate Sales Podcast features global experts who have cracked the code to recurring revenues with proven sales systems and get you on the fast track to scaling. Now let's accelerate your sales with today's episode.
Welcome to the Accelerate Sales Podcast. So you're going to learn three key things from today. One is how to sync data from your sales CRM into your marketing CRM with no code, which sounds wonderful. The second is why data enrichment is so important. There's some great examples of that. And then a brilliant way of working out how they plan to build their next integrations. It's wonderful, but it's something you can take and apply to your business, and I certainly will. So once again, welcome to the Accelerate Sales Podcast. If you're a first-time listener, please, if you love it, subscribe. And if you're a regular, always welcome those reviews wherever they are. iTunes is also much appreciated. You'll probably take notes. There's plenty of great notes here. We always have the links in the show notes, and you'll notice me look down from time to time. So that's to take notes because there's lots of great value that our guest gives today. And also you can get the full transcript if you go to paulhigginsmentoring.com, and you can just follow through to the podcast and you'll find it there. I'd also quickly like to thank our sponsors. The first is the Cloud Consultants Collective. It's a free Slack community where peers are helping each other scale. You can go to paulhigginsmentoring.com/CCC. And the other is LeadJet. If you're tired of manually moving data from LinkedIn to your sales CRM, well, LeadJet.io solves that. Just go to paulhigginsmentoring.com/LeadJet to find out more. So today's guest is an ex-sales professional and head of product and co-founder of a platform called Outfunnel.com. He's on a journey to help SMB owners bring together marketing and sales data to scale their business, which is absolutely perfect for you listening now. And also, don't forget to listen out, because there is 3 months, 25% off this amazing platform that Markus Leming mentions. And what I'll do now is hand you over to Markus Leming from Outfunnel.com. Welcome, Markus. Great to have you here.
Excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me over, Paul.
Yeah, I do feel a little guilty, as I said in the brief conversation we had, that I've known Outfunnel for some time. I tested a little because I'm a mad copy user, and I didn't quite get to use it fully. And I think today you're going to make that a lot clearer, which will be great. But before we go into that, who is your ideal client?
Yeah, good questions. And I hope we will make it more clear, right? I mean, I hope I do a good job with explaining it. The ideal client. So, I mean, we mostly work with SMBs. And by SMBs, I mean companies that usually are between like 20 to 100 employee companies. We have some one-man shows as well, and we have some bigger companies, but that's kind of where the sweet spot lands. And it's mostly companies who have long sales cycles, who use CRMs to keep track of all of this. And who have usually more complex sales models or businesses that they sell, or services. So good examples here are agencies, consultancies, software companies, construction, real estate. So really like those more longer sales cycles. So e-commerce, for example, wouldn't be a good fit, whereas agency would be a great fit. And it's mostly marketeers and salespeople, really.
Yeah, perfect. Well, you're talking the exact audience here. We're all about cloud consultants. We're across multiple platforms. So I know there's going to be lots of value. And for those companies, what problems do you solve for them?
So you have to take a look at, like, if you look at an SMB, there's two sides to the sales and marketing, right? It's the sales team and it's the marketing team.
Yes.
And then, what it really comes down to is that we live in an age of apps. There's so many apps that people use, that businesses use, which has been even like boosted further with COVID, and with people working from home and digitalization of small businesses, and then which is great, right? People use the best of breed apps, but then what usually happens is that all of these apps generate a lot of data. So sales team uses a CRM like Copper, and they generate new leads there. Marketing team uses a tool like ActiveCampaign or MailChimp. They send out emails. But then the problem is that data doesn't really sync between those apps. So imagine if you're a sales rep, you add a new lead to your system. How does it get to the marketing team, right? Because marketing wants to market to them as well. And most of the time people do it manually. So we actually ran a report recently as well, where I think people said that around 30% of the businesses that we surveyed said that they actually move data manually, which is insane, right? Takes a lot of time for them. And then on the other hand, it's the marketing team who sends out email engagement or email campaigns. But then that engagement doesn't really get back to the CRM. So sales team always has, so what's the marketing actually doing? I know that they're sending emails. Who are they sending it to? Who's opening? Who's engaging with it? I have no clue as a sales rep. I could log into the marketing tool, but I have other things to do. So pretty busy usually, so I don't have time to do that. And they don't see the engagement. So what Outfunnel essentially does is we're that middleman, that super glue there. So we sync contacts between those apps, and we record engagement from the marketing tool back to the CRM. So the sales team really sees everything in one place. They see who opened an email, who filled in a form, who visited the website, and they can really focus on the leads that are most likely to convert, instead of kind of sending an email to everyone and really calling everyone, which takes a lot of time, right?
Yeah, look, and I know we're going to dive into some specific examples, because I know that, I've got a couple of platforms that aren't talking as well as they should. But on episode 387, I had Dan McGaw. And Dan was, used to be at Kissmetrics. He was head of marketing there. And he said that there's now 9,400 MarTech. So I quoted something like 8,000. So yeah, there's so many tools. And I think this integration piece is great. And look, Zapier. And if you ever want to remember Zapier versus Zapier, like some people call it, it's Zapier is happier, I was told once. So so Zapier, does a good job. Right. But I do think that, something like Outfunnel is perfect. And, let's talk about a case example. So, like I said, I use Copper. I love Copper. We used to sell it. We sold that company to a Google partner, and my business partner went across with that. But I still use it every day now. And I've got a sales background. So I worked at Coca-Cola for 18 years, and I think there was 150 sales CRMs around the globe. I worked on global projects to integrate, minimize some of those. But, I love my sales CRM. Very unusual. Most people, don't like putting data in. I probably put too much in. That aside. So, I also use ActiveCampaign. At the moment, we're using Zapier to sync data, but it's a bit one way. It's not ideal. So how can we use Outfunnel to improve that experience and help with the customer journey better than what we're doing now?
Yeah, fantastic question and use case. Copper ActiveCampaign probably is one of the tunnels between the apps that is one of the most popular ones, actually, because Zapier or Zapier does solve it up to a certain extent, but as you said, it's one way. It doesn't sync engagement, so it's kind of you only get half of the picture. And our kind of product promise is that we keep contacts and the engagements in sync. So imagine a scenario where you're a sales rep, you find some new leads. You add them to the CRM, then all you need to do is, for example, tag that contact and say that, hey, this is a marketing ready lead, or something similar. And then what Outfunnel essentially does is we see that, hey, there's a new lead who has that tag. And obviously you can kind of configure that in Outfunnel, and we automatically pick that up. We sync it over to ActiveCampaign and we keep it up to date. So if any details change for that contact, so let's say their, company name changes or something else, we immediately update that also in ActiveCampaign. Also, if, for example, at one point you don't want to send marketing emails to this contact anymore. So let's say in a case where you know that this is hot lead already, they really replied to you. You don't want to send too much communication. Then you just remove that tag. They get removed from ActiveCampaign, and you can pick up the conversation. And then, from a marketing point of view, you basically get fed all the contacts into the system. You don't need to worry about, okay, do I need to do this export once per week? You don't need to worry about duplicates, which is always kind of the biggest thing as well when keeping data in sync, right? And then all you need to do as a marketer is just send out the email, send out the newsletter, and all that data gets back to the sales team, and they can really focus again on the leads that actually make sense for them, based on engagement.
Great. And I think that's, definitely disconnected at the moment. So, we've actually gone back to manual because we kept getting errors. So, at the moment in my sales CRM copper, I tag people. So whether they should be, target on the list, etc., then what list they should be on, right? So pretty straightforward stuff. But then, manually we're doing that. So obviously we can do that now. And I think from what you're saying, if I take them off the list in Copper, it'll also do that in ActiveCampaign, which is at the moment it's not a one-way, it's a one-way sync, not a two-way sync. So that's brilliant. What about custom fields? So like at the moment, I have I don't know. Let's say there's 100 different expertise. So if I meet you, I'll say, okay, well, you're an expert in this, this, and this. So when I get someone and they say, hey, I need an expert in this area, or when I'm mentoring someone, I can go, oh, well, here's 3 people, right? So that's the way that I use it. Can that be updated into the ActiveCampaign? So what I'm really saying is any custom field, can that also be then updated in ActiveCampaign if it's obviously set up there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the good thing here is that the setup is super straightforward. So you don't need to kind of, don't want to refer to Zapier or some of the others. I mean, they're amazing tools, right? Yes. They're super universal, and you can get a lot of the things. Exactly. You can get a lot of the things done. Where Outfunnel really kind of sets things apart is that you don't need to do any kind of custom field mappings in a way where you say that, hey, if I sync over this multiple option field, I need to create an array in Zapier to find the right fit. We basically have built all of that into the system. So we've taken some of the most used flows, like you mentioned now, that I tag a contact, sync them over, I untag them, unsync them, and some other flows there. And then you just set up the field mapping with all the fields you'd like, and it's ready. So the whole setup really takes like 5 minutes. And you can get going. So yeah, right. Custom fields are supported like that as well.
And how do you decide which tools you're going to work with? Like I know that you do Pipedrive, you do Copper, you do others, but how do you guys as a team decide which ones will you build into your platform moving forward?
Yeah, I have to give credit here to our marketing team and my co-founder Andres as well. So I think pretty early on, or probably 2 years ago, we started. It's really hard to understand, know which apps to actually build next, right? So we have 4 or 5 different data points that we look at. Firstly, we built 200 plus landing pages that are computer generated, where we say that we connect Copper with TikTok, for example. And then we see how many people actually sign up and show interest. So they can sign up on the spot on the landing page. They can say that, hey, I use Copper and TikTok. Here's the use case that I'd like to solve. And boom, leave their email and submit. And then we do, and then we've kind of picked up some of them more interesting landing pages or apps for us. And we actually put advertising behind those as well. So instead of putting advertising money behind actually getting new signups to the product, we put it behind just collecting interest at the moment, which works really well because we get in front of a lot of people. We really can, before dedicating development resources on building something, we can actually really quickly validate it and see how much interest there is. And then, so that's one of the data points, probably one of the most interesting ones. But next to that, we also look at the partner itself, like how many users do they have? Yes. What kind of integrations do they offer natively out of the box? How do other integrations platforms work with them? What's the partner's willingness to actually cooperate with us? So obviously with big players like Salesforce, it's an app that we recently released as well. They're so big that it's more difficult to cooperate with them because obviously everyone wants to do marketing with them, right? So we've also picked some tools that are a little bit smaller in the space. So just recently we started integrating with Sendinblue, and they're super helpful and really want to actually market with us and do things together. So it's really great. So there's different data points that we look at to make sure that we actually find the right app.
Yeah, I love that landing page idea. Obviously it's been done a lot in lean startup, minimal viable product, etc. But I haven't heard it used for that specific purpose for picking which platform. So I think that's fantastic. And I don't know if you can publicly disclose, but like how many users have you got currently on?
Yeah, good question. So we're pretty early in our journey still. I mean, we've been around for like 3 years. We have around 1,000+ users, and I mean, some of them have been with us for like since day one. Some of them, a lot of them joined recently, right? Because every new app that we add actually increases our market size as well. Because obviously, when we started, we only connected like Pipedrive and Mailchimp, very small market size. Yes. But then the main strategy thinking currently is as well that the more apps we add, the bigger market that we can tap into. And then at one point, because currently we really ask that CRM is one of the main tools that you use to connect this as one of the connector elements. But then once we have enough tools, we can also start thinking about, okay, how can we make this more universal? How can we connect tools that we haven't connected before yet? So there's a lot of things that we can still do there.
Yeah, brilliant. And for you, as far as setting the product up, you said that it's fairly easy to set up. Is it something like, for me, for example, I've got Connie, who's basically my chief of staff, my right hand person, is she's got moderate. So let's say 5 out of 10 technical skills. Is it something that she can do, or do you need actually development experience to use the product?
No code whatsoever or no coding experience is required. So really the way we built them, that's part of our goal or mission as well, is to really make it no code and focus it on the marketeers and salespeople who are really on the line of defense and really working on with those tools. Because obviously, developers are hard to come by. Their resources are it's pretty expensive to have them around. So you need something also that is super no code, that you can simply set up with no tech experience whatsoever. And I mean, if that fails, people still ask for help, right? So we're always on standby. We do a lot of demo calls with our clients. We try to educate them as much as possible. So we try to present ourselves as the experts in this app space as well, because as you said, 9,000 apps, there's a lot of things to choose between. How do I know what's the right one? So we try to help and educate people as well on that end.
Yeah, and what are you seeing as some of the software that we may not be aware of that's working really well with integrations in SaaS? So in particular, sales CRMs, right? So for example, there's an Australian company. It's called Trigger, so TRIGGR, which effectively maps all the public data and then puts that into your sales CRM. So for example, if someone's using a particular tech stack, you'll know what that is, which can be, very helpful. So that's an example that I'm seeing. But what are some of the examples that you're seeing that, not some of us may not have heard of, because we're so busy in our own platform and we're so busy serving clients that we mightn't seen it yet?
Yeah. So, so if I understood the question correctly, so basically, what are the tools that salespeople and marketing people actually want to connect with their CRMs, and then what we're seeing?
Yeah, what's hot at the moment?
What's hot? I would definitely say data enrichment is still hot. I mean, it's been going around for a couple of years already, right? The likes of Clearbit and such. But in the age where prospects get bombarded with a lot of messages which are not personalized, are sent at the wrong time, you actually want to reach out at the exact right time. Hopefully with a trigger, hopefully with a personalized message, so that you actually catch them and you're very relevant instead of kind of bombarding people. So really, data enrichment, I think, is one of these things that I've seen around. And then I guess, I guess I'm a little bit biased here, right? But in the end, it's really something that brings them all together, because there's people use a lot of those apps already. And then the main question is, how do you kind of unite data into one place, which for most SMBs is the CRM, right? Yes. On that end.
Yeah. And I think, we've got a rule in our business, because we use ClickUp as our project management or work management center. But so if there's anything to do with a client, if it's a client action, it actually sits in our sales CRM. And then if it's something to do with our business, so really separating that, because it's so easy to lose track of, well, where are the actions? Where should I put them? And I do think that, sales is underutilized as far as campaigns, right? Because you, like you said, ActiveCampaign is what we use, but there's other marketing programs that you use. Is there anything that you're seeing that's on the cutting edge of trying to get through that noise? So whether it's certain use of video or other things that you're seeing that is innovative from the email marketing point of view.
I think one company that I've been following for a few years now as well, that had a very unique angle at the special cold outreach, was indeed video, but video where it was like personalized video. So you could actually, I'm not sure if you've heard of Lemlist, but basically you could personalize elements in that picture or video with basically merge fields. So it personalized the message every single time. Yes. So, I mean, that's definitely one kind of area that we've seen more and more people using as well. But at the same time, I mean, it's because more and more people are using it, it also gets outdated, right? So you again need to find something new. So it was cutting edge at one point, but then it's getting outdated very quickly. What I feel at least is coming somewhat back into the game again is calling. Because calling, did have like a downward slope for a long time. It was more perceived as like these annoying sales calls. Yes. But now, I mean, whenever I sign up to a tool as well myself, like a software tool, a lot of times they just give me a call right after sign up, right? Sometimes it's a little bit aggressive, but at other times I actually appreciate it because I can immediately ask my questions. Yeah. So I think calling is making a comeback in some shape or form. But again, if it's targeted, if it's really not like bluntly calling everyone, but really trigger-based calling.
Yeah, great. And have you got any integrations with, whether it's Twilio or other call-based software at the moment?
We don't yet integrate with calling software, and I'm not sure if we ever will. Maybe, hopefully. The thing with the calling softwares is that they a lot of them actually integrate very well with CRMs already, because that's kind of where the sales reps usually go into or what they do, right? And then they want to have something that's tightly integrated. So probably not in the near future, but you never know. Maybe one day.
Yeah, and you talked about Lemlist. The other one that we've used is Hyperize. So Ian
we
Naylor,
use that as well, by the way.
Yeah, do you? Yeah. Look, we found in our LinkedIn outreach that's made a massive improvement in both acceptance. So we're getting about a 40% acceptance and about a 25% reply rate by simply putting a GIF or a GIF, depends what you say. It's a bit like
that's another one of those, right?
Yeah, correct. But using that to get a reply, and we found that that's been excellent. And we use I don't know if you've heard of a platform. We use a platform called Expandy, where it integrates nicely into that, so it's all automated. So I think like you said, combining tools, so fit for purpose tools are obviously becoming more and more the case. And then if you help them sync into the main engine, whether it's Salesforce, Pipedrive, Copper, etc., I think makes absolute sense. Well, look, I could talk forever on a topic like this, because you can tell that I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited now to reacquaint with Outfunnel and get that going for Copper and ActiveCampaign. But what we'll do now is go into the sales deep dive, where I'll ask you some questions and just get some quick responses. You ready?
How quick do they need to be?
Let's say a sip of beer.
All right,
I know your beers are a little bit bigger over there. But
they are. So we have more time. Go for it.
Yeah. All right. So the first one is, what are some daily sales habits that help you to accelerate your sales?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't do sales that much on a day-to-day basis anymore. I mean, I still speak to customers every day, but one thing that I think is universally helpful is staying curious, no matter what you do, and really trying to understand the issue or the problem that the person has, and then taking that piece of information and turning your narrative to match that. If it does match, right? I mean, and if it does, then amazing. You're safe, right? You can get through the quotas. You can sell everything.
Yeah, I think that's so great. And the next one, which is going to be probably a bit hard for you, but what's one piece of tech that's essential for helping you generate sales?
Biased over here.
Yeah, other than Outfunnel, obviously.
Other than Outfunnel. I think for us, it's a good question. What really accelerates our sales? I think it really is data and data enrichment again. I mean, to give you an example, when we do some cold outreach as well on our end, and then what our kind of process there is that we try to find users who already use an app that we integrate with. So, for example, Copper and ActiveCampaign. So we use Built With to find all the companies who use certain pieces of software, and then we craft a really personalized message and reach out based on that, and that really helps to land that message, right? So it's super targeted instead of kind of going after everyone.
Yeah, brilliant. And the next one is, what's the best source of leads for Outfunnel?
For us, it's definitely marketplaces, app marketplaces. Our playbook really is to get listed on a marketplace, train their support team for that app, get as many reviews as possible so that we climb the ranks. So I think Pipedrive, we're the top rated app for 3 years already. And then most of the people find us through that and then start using it. And the second one is probably communities. So again, that's where the education role comes into play. So we usually try to go to as many communities as possible that surround a certain app. And again, we just help people out. Whatever help they need, we help them out, even if it's not related to Outfunnel at all. But we build our rep there. And at one point, when the time is right, we can always bring in Outfunnel into play when it makes sense.
Yeah, Brent. And the last question is the big question. That's why I leave it to the end. What's one action we can take from today to accelerate our sales?
Remove data silos. And if I'd have to be less biased, I would say automate things. Automate processes, automate as much as possible. But there's a caveat here. Don't automate it right away. Automate it only after you've done it through manually, because otherwise you don't know what to expect, what happens, what are the edge cases. We did a lot of things manually at Outfunnel at first. We've written a couple of blog pieces about this as well, where we did everything manually at first. Things grew out of hand. We automated it, and then we have full control of the system like that.
Yeah, totally agree, and definitely been bitten too many times of trying to automate or make it overly complicated first. So I totally agree, and we've all heard the great story around Airbnb where they did what wasn't scalable first, and then from there it traveled. So I agree. Well, look, it's been brilliant having you on. So I know you've got a couple of awesome free resources. One of them is if you go to outfunnel.com/revenue-marketing-report. There's that asset, and we'll have all of the links in the show notes that have been mentioned. And also, you've been very generous and have given a 25% off for 3 months for anyone that takes up Outfunnel. And you can go to outfunnel.com/ASP to get that. So, look, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Markus. I must admit, I'm a bit selfish in this interview because I really want to improve our syncing of data between sales and marketing. So I think you've given me a brilliant use case to go and implement now. So Connie and the team, beware, this is coming your way. But also I think for a lot of, you cloud consultants that are listening and watching now, you often, it's the old plumber with a leaky tap, that you spend so much time setting up everyone else's system that you don't always set up yours as well as it could be. So I think, do it manual like you're probably doing now, but then use automation and try out Outfunnel. So Markus, absolutely brilliant having you on today.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thanks for having me over.
I hope you really enjoyed that interview with Markus. I certainly did. And you can tell that I've got lots of Copper and ActiveCampaign holes to fill, and you can try the product yourself. You can get 3 months, 25% off if you just go to Outfunnel. So outfunnel.com/ASP. Once again, the links will be in the show notes. And why don't you share some of the learnings that you took from Markus and mention him on socials? He would love that. And I'm sure that he'll reply back to you, which will get you great exposure as well. And there is the summary on paulhigginsmentoring.com, and you can also ask for the full transcript If you've got some gaps in your notes, you can go there. And why not, if you've got 1, 10, I don't know, you've probably got lots of people that are looking for this sync between data, because Zapier is great, but it may not be filling all the gaps. Certainly isn't for me. You can go and find out more, but why don't you share it with others so that they really enjoy it and you can be a rock star to them. Check out some of our solo shows where I talk specifically to cloud consultants and how you can scale your business. And there's also that free Slack community, which is a cloud collective. And you can go to paulhigginsmentoring.com/CCC for that. And finally, please take action to accelerate your sales.
I'm fired up after today's episode. What about you? But hey, before you go, learning is just one piece of the puzzle. Now it's time to put today's strategy into action. Head over now to today's show page at paulhigginsmentoring.com/podcast and share how you'll put it into action. Be sure to head over to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe, rate, and review the show. Tell me what your favorite episode is. And don't wait 1 minute more to gain access to your pulse check at paulhigginsmentoring.com. This could be the difference between struggling to get more leads and making this next quarter your best one yet.